Hi guys, so in this video I'll be explaining the complete system of weekly inside bar strategy, and this is going to be a very important video. So make sure you're sitting down with a pen and a paper to make the notes. So we'll begin with the video now. So the agenda I'll talk about it. The video is divided in 5 parts. The first one is scanners. Scanners for any system is a very crucial part, right? Then I'll be talking about the buying with chart examples जो trades हैं उनके through I'll explain this point, and that is the most important part of the video, buying. I'll explain why. And the PDF, this PDF that you are seeing, this has detailed points as well, so I'm linking down the link below in the description of the PDF for you to download. Then I'll be talking about selling as well, because whatever profits you see on the screen, unless you sell, this is important. Then we'll be talking about trailing. This is important in case something happens in the market, to ensure that you don't incur the losses on your profits or on your capital. And then I'll let you know about the trades that I've taken in the past few months. As you know that I was not active here, so I'll give you the trades explanation, and these are the trades which I shared with my community. So important video. So now we will begin with the first point of the agenda, that is our scanners. So a very basic uh, thing about scanning is, since we are talking about inside bar strategy, see ये जो मैंने आपके सामने query put up करा है, the image that you see, this is the base of your inside bar weekly scanner. Whatever strategy you make, whatever scan you make, these are the queries, these 5 things are important, right? So if anybody has trouble, you can just use this screenshot and make your own scan, but I'll be giving the scan, so don't worry about that. Now let me talk about the importance of scans and how to go about them. That is important. So see, we have around 5,000 stocks, right? If every weekend, let's say, you sit down with a list of 5,000 stocks, you will be wasting a lot of your time and a lot of your energy, and you would need a lot of time, right? Free time in your hands, which is not possible. And one thing which is very important is focus. If you are able to focus, let's say I give you 20 stocks, then the amount of focus you will be having on each stock is going to be highly, you know, narrowed down. That will help you make good decisions. So focus is important while making decisions. And scans will help us allow do that. Out of those 5,000 stocks, your scan will give you around 100 stocks every weekend. And I think that is good enough spread out on 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. You can easily go out, around these stocks. But there is one more important thing. कई बार क्या होता है, the people who are using the scan get lost in the details. They want everything to be picture perfect from their scan. They want a scan which gives them a name, and that name has to go up, and that is where a lot of problem comes into play. So let's say you are very concerned, you saw a setup happening, right? आपने उस सेटअप के ऊपर एक स्कैन बना दिया, लेकिन आपने क्या किया, उस स्टॉक के अंदर, उस स्पेसिफिक सेटअप के अंदर जो चीज़ें हो रही थी उसके ऊपर आपने अपना स्कैन बनाया. You did not understand the concept. Rather, you took the stock, whatever was happening in that particular setup or stock, you made a scan. उससे क्या होगा, काफ़ी सारे आपके ऐसे स्टॉक्स होंगे जो कुछ क्राइटेरियाज उसकी बाय जस्ट अ पर्सन फुलफिल नहीं करेंगे. दैट इज़ वेयर द प्रॉब्लम बिगिंस. आप काफ़ी अच्छे जो आपके सेटअप्स होंगे, पोटेंशियल सेटअप्स, वो आप मिस करोगे जस्ट बिकॉज यू आर टू कंसर्न्ड अबाउट द डिटेल्स ऑफ योर स्कैन. एक ये चीज़ हो गई. अब वहीं पे अगर आपने स्कैन को बहुत जनरलाइज कर दिया, लेट्स से आपने स्कैन में बोल दिया कि द स्टॉक शुड बी नियर 52 वीक हाई, सिर्फ इतनी क्वेरी से भी आपको काफ़ी ज़्यादा स्टॉक्स मिल जाएंगे, 1500 स्टॉक्स आपको मिल जाएंगे. व्हाट विल यू डू बाय देन, राइट? आपने कोई मूविंग एवरेज यूज़ कर लिया कि 10 शुड बी अबव 20, और लेट्स से 20 शुड बी अबव 200, तब भी द लिस्ट विल बी ह्यूज. सो आपका स्कैन ज़्यादा कंसर्न नहीं होना चाहिए डिटेल्स के साथ, वहीं पे आपका स्कैन बहुत ज़्यादा जनरल नहीं होना चाहिए. इन चीज़ों को दिमाग में रख के इफ़ यू मेक द स्कैन इज़ गोइंग टू बी मच बेटर. सो हियर टू ease out your burden, I'm giving you a couple of scans and one more bonus scan. I'll explain आपको कौन सा स्कैन यूज़ करना है, कौन सा नहीं करना है, एंड किस तरीके से आप अपना स्कैन बना सकते हो. And mind you, a lot of people have made money using these scans, and these are free of cost. So please make sure to make the best use of this. So particularly we have two scans. The first one that I'm giving you is a weekly inside bar scanner. What this will give you is this will scan for the stocks जहाँ पे this is the pattern you are seeing, right? A candle up and then an inside bar on the weekly chart. So this will give you all the stocks which are showing this kind of pattern here. And a weekly inside bar simply means that there is a small consolidation happening on a daily chart. This is the basic rationale behind the scan. The link to these scans will be in the description below. Then comes the double weekly inside bar scan. Now what is that? So here there is only one inside bar, right? What double gives you is it will give you two inside bars. See here, there is a big bar, right? Big up move. This entire weekly candle is within this, okay? The next week to this is this, and this entire week, right, open and close, is within this. So we kind of have a double week inside bars. Now what this scan does is it gives you stocks which are consolidating for a long period of time. These are the stocks, वीकली इनसाइड बार स्टॉक्स आर द स्टॉक्स जहाँ पे ज़्यादा कंसोलिडेशन नहीं हुआ है. तो यहाँ पे आपको वो स्टॉक्स मिलेंगे जिनमें मोमेंटम काफ़ी फास्ट है. मोस्टली डबल वीक इनसाइड बार में आपको वो स्टॉक्स मिलेंगे जहाँ पे मोमेंटम अभी नहीं है इतना फास्ट, जो कंसोलिडेट कर रहे हैं पिछले 10 दिनों से. नाउ हाउ यू कैन यूज दिस. सी, जो भी स्टॉक डबल वीक इनसाइड बार में आएंगे वो सारे स्टॉक आपके वीकली इनसाइड बार में डेफिनेटली आएंगे, राइट? So basically, your double week inside bar comes under the set of weekly inside bar. It is a subset of weekly inside bar. So let's say you are someone who has time on their hands during the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Don't use DWIB, use WIB because all the stocks will be there. Now let's say you are someone who is busy, or let's say there comes a week जहाँ पे you don't get time, you know, to go through scans, but you have some time. उस केस में you can go for DWIB because DWIB represents more consolidation and just a little better setups here. If you don't have time, if you are a busy person, you can use DWIB, and if you have time on your hands, you can use WIB as well. So either of those, choose. Don't use both of them. It's a waste of time. Then there is a bonus scan which I will explain towards the end of the video because that is just building onto this. So now we will be moving on to the buying part. Now this is the most important factor for any kind of trade you do, right? Now I'll explain why. Whenever you buy a stock, whatever time, whatever price, then and then only you are deciding whether this trade of yours is going to be a profitable trade, a losing trade, or you will exit at a cost. This is a very important point to understand. Most of the people think that selling is what gives you money. Yes, it gives you money, but selling doesn't give you profit. Profit always comes when you are buying. Get this thing very clear in your head. I'll explain you through these three important points. These are very important. Whatever strategy it is, whatever instrument you are with, these are very important. So pay attention here. Let's say we have a weekly inside bar, okay? You identified the stock. What you will do is plot an ideal zone. Now, what is an ideal zone? I'll explain later in the video. For just now, just know that there is an ideal zone for buying. So the scenario number one that I describe here is, let's say you buy at a place which is above your ideal buy zone, okay? What will happen here is your stop loss will be much bigger percent wise, and because of that your position size is going to be smaller. That is very obvious thing, everyone knows that. But what is not obvious, or what people miss here, is that you will have to see a negative MTM for some time, a negative figure in your account, and you will have to be comfortable with it. This is very important to understand. If you have a small capital, seeing a negative MTM might be okay for you. But when you operate on a huge capital, you have to avoid seeing negative MTM for a long period of time. So if you are someone who is buying above the ideal buy zone, please understand that you will have to see negative MTM, and that might lead to psychological issues, right? You might get fearful. आपका stop loss hit नहीं हुआ है, but since आपका MTM negative है, you might close out your position for no reason at all, right? It might happen with you that काफी अच्छे stocks आप select कर लेते हो, but still, and you buy also, but still you are not able to profit from them because you chicken out. You are afraid. So this is something that will help you if this is happening with you. Now talk about, let's say you buy in the ideal zone. What will happen? Naturally, your stop loss will be small. Your position size is going to be big. And again, that is very obvious. What is not obvious here is you will rarely see a negative MTM. You will rarely see that you're buying, after you're buying, the price is going -1% or -2%. This is going to be a rare event, right? What will happen is you will always see a green number. It could be plus 0.5%, plus 1%, plus 2%, but most of the times, if you buy in the ideal zone, you will be having a positive MTM no matter what the price does. And this is where the secret lies. Because once, no matter how big position you have, no matter how small position you have, if you see green in your screen, if you see profit on your screen, even when the price is volatile, it will really help you protect yourself from the negative emotions. You will be much more peaceful, much more calm. You will see that आपको patience रखना नहीं पड़ रहा है. Patience is coming naturally to you. I hope you're understanding of these points. Now let's say you try to buy below the ideal zone. You might think, somebody who's thinking a lot might say that, okay, if this is happening in the ideal zone, what if I buy below the ideal zone? Well, the thing is, defining ideal zone is very important because that is a point where if the price goes below that, the stock will be destroyed. Destroyed as in you will not find a trade in that in coming weeks, and that is important. So if you are someone who, let's say, tries to buy below the ideal zone, there is a risk. That is, there is a lot of amount of exposure to risk. Let's say you buy below the ideal zone thinking that price will come below the ideal zone and go back in the ideal zone, and that move itself can give you 2-3%, right? If you're thinking like that, what can happen if the price is breaking the ideal zone? Well, something might be wrong. And in those cases, what happens is, let's say you put up a huge position, sometimes the down move is so fast that your stop loss price will get skipped and you will face a lot of amount of slippages. So let's say आपने stop loss desire किया था 3% का, by the time you exit all of your positions, that stop loss, the loss which you were targeting to be -3%, will become -5 or -6%. That is just double of what you planned, and that will destroy all of your risk planning. So this is what you have to understand regarding the ideal buy zone. Now I will be talking about the ideal buy zone. So now let's talk about the ideal zone. Please understand these are zones and not points. I'll explain how. So you might have probably learned that you have to buy above the high of some week, right? The inside bar week. But there is a big thing about it. For people who have a small position size, who are operating on a small capital, it is absolutely fine to place your buy orders above the high of the inside bar and get the fill. But then problems come when you increase your capital size. Now, how that happens is, I'll tell you. Let's say you were operating on a small capital, but then you figured out that you have gotten good. Your trade journal says you're doing good. So then naturally you would go on to increase your capital size. And if you do the same things, what will happen is you will see suddenly your profits, the percent profit is not as much in terms of the risk. If you were taking a risk of, let's say, 1%, your profits are now, which were before, let's say, 3% or 4%. Now your profits are somewhere 2.5% or 2.1. That is a drastic reduction. Why does that happen? I'll tell you. See, when you want to, let's say, buy a large quantity of the stock and you are buying when the, a candle is breaking out of the high of some candle or something, there is a lot of momentum. And when you buy in that, you will face a lot of slippages coming in your system. Slippages आएंगे तो automatically your risk calculations are going to be useless over there, and that will also lead to increasing your exposure to risk. Then you will find the system that was working well with a small capital is not so efficient with a big capital. So if somebody doesn't know this point, he will not be able to do well. He might think that I'm doing the same thing which I was doing. मैं जो स्कैन यूज कर रहा था, जो प्रोसेस था, सब कुछ एग्जैक्टली सेम था, बस कैपिटल इंक्रीज हुआ तो उसकी परफॉर्मेंस में रिडक्शन आ गया, राइट? तो उस चीज से आपको मैं बचाने के लिए, दिस इज द पॉइंट आई एम शेयरिंग विथ यू. So see, the ideal zone is always inside the inside part candles. I want you to pause the video and think about it, what I just said. It is never above the high of the week, below the low of the week. It is always inside there. Please think about it. The answer to this I will give you when we go on to live charts. I'll explain there exactly what I'm talking about. The ideal zone again, let's say you get a weekly inside bar. Then you see that your 50-day moving average is below 200. That simply means the stock is not in such a great position to begin its journey. It might spend some more time. और अगर आपने उस इनसाइड बार में बाइंग कर ली है तो हो सकता है अगले 5 हफ्ते और इनसाइड बार्स बना दे वो. इसका मतलब ऑलमोस्ट 1 महीना आपका कैपिटल ब्लॉक्ड रहेगा. दैट इज नेवर अ गुड थिंग. तो उसके लिए ऑलवेज यूज अ 50-डे मूविंग एवरेज अलॉन्ग विद अ 200-डे मूविंग एवरेज, जहाँ पे 50 इज above your 200. There will be points जहाँ पे हो सकता है 50 is below 200, but most of the cases में 50 will be above 200 and you will get beautiful setups. I'll explain on the chart. So now let's go to our charts and see what this ideal zone is all about. And after that, watching some charts, we will understand about the selling process. So now we are on the charts, and the first example that I'm taking is SDBL, and I'll explain as मैंने Telegram group पे भी बताया था. This is the time where I bought in these 2 weeks. This is where I bought the stock, and since then the stock has given me returns of almost around 120%, and that is huge. In let's say how much time, that is from 20th of March to July. So almost around 2 months, 4 months is what it took. Great returns. Now I'll explain what happened here. What was the ideal buying zone? I'll explain here. So let's first mark the weeks where I bought. So these 2 weeks, you see, this is where I bought. These 2 red weeks, okay? Now let's say somebody who is above the high buy, buyer ki week ke high ke upar crossing hoga, that is when I will buy. I'll tell you the problem there. So you make this line probably right. Now see, where are you buying? You are buying above 140 rupees. That is where you will place your orders. Your stop loss will be somewhere around 7%, right? Now let's see this exact day जब ये मूव हुआ था, Monday 27th March को, किस तरीके की कैंडल से मूव हुआ था. So you will see it 27th of March is where you started. So on this day you got your buying happening here. And if you see from your high, the stock went up almost above 1.5% higher. So there was momentum coming in the stock that day, right? But what happened? If you had a small amount, you had a good fill. But here, if you had a big position size, you know what problem happened with you? ये जो 1.5% का up move है, this will give you a slippage of around 0.6 to 0.8%. And when you are handling a big position size, big account size, this will amount to be a problem as you go ahead in your journey. So you have to be very mindful about that, right? So when you have a big capital size, what you have to do, you have to identify the zones. I'll tell you where. I bought a very small quantity on this day, right? And then I bought my stocks on these 2 days and then here. So my buying zone was actually here. This black box. This was my buying zone. Now that is much before the break of this week. So now what happened is Let's say my average price was somewhere around 136 rupees, or I'll take this level. What happened is by the time the stock was here, I was already up 2.37%, right? This is important for everyone to understand. And on the day you were facing your slippages is where I was adding a lot more to my position. Now, why I was adding a lot more to my position is because I was already up 2% on the positions that I already had. तो उससे क्या हुआ, जो भी नए पोजीशन मैंने ऐड किए उनसे भी मेरा एवरेज प्राइस ऊपर नहीं हो पाया. एंड दैट इज़ वाई आई नेवर सॉ अ नेगेटिव एम टी एम हियर, नेवर सॉ नेगेटिव एम टी एम इन this trade, even when I had a huge position size. And then I got a massive move here. Now just think about somebody who was planning to buy above the high of this bar, right? High of this inside bar. He would have to face a lot of slippage, because जब इस तरीके की कैंडल्स आती हैं there is a lot of momentum and you will probably get your fill somewhere around 145 rupees. उस केस में क्या होता है, आपका स्टॉप लॉस बहुत बढ़ जाता है, राइट? काफ़ी डिफरेंस ऑलरेडी, अ परसेंट डिफरेंस मेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ डिफरेंस. सो इसीलिए कह रहा हूँ, अगर आप बाइंग सही करेंगे तो काफ़ी चीज़ें अच्छी हो जाएंगी. आई एक्सप्लेन अगेन वाई. लेट्स से आपने यहाँ पे बाई किया, ओके, दिस वाज द हाई. अब इमेजिन करो कि ये कैंडल इस तरीके का कैंडल नहीं बन पाया, रादर ये जो आप कैंडल देख रहे हो जिसने ऊपर जाके वापस अंदर आके क्लोज किया, दिस इज़ हाउ दिस कैंडल वाज मेड. जस्ट इमेजिन, ठीक है? और आपने यहाँ बाय कर लिया है. अब क्या होगा, आपका स्टॉप लॉस कहाँ होगा? समवेयर हियर. अब प्राइस क्या कर सकता है, नीचे आके काफ़ी टाइम यहाँ पे स्पेंड कर सकता है. तो अराउंड 8% का स्टॉप लॉस है. तो अगर आपका पोजीशन -5% भी है तो दैट इज़ ओके, बट -5% एम टी एम ऑन अ बिग पोजिशन साइज might cause problem to even big players psychologically, it might put you under a lot of stress, a lot of thinking कि what if the stop loss is hit, what if something bad happens. तो उस चीज़ से आप बच जाते हो. बिकॉज उसी केस में सोचो, अगर आपने कहीं यहाँ पे बाइंग अपनी स्टार्ट करी थी, आपका स्टॉप लॉस 3% होता, एंड बाय द टाइम द स्टॉक वॉज गोइंग अप फ्रॉम हेयर ऑन आप ऑलरेडी 5% ऊपर होते. इज़न्ट दैट अ ग्रेट थिंग? तो नेगेटिव तो आप कभी देखोगे नहीं, राइट? दैट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो आई होप मैंने आपको उस आइडियल जोन एक्सप्लेन कर दिया होगा कि किस तरीके से आप आइडियल जोन का इस्तेमाल करके अच्छे पोजीशंस बिल्ड करोगे. सेम थिंग आई विल गिव यू मोर एग्जांपल्स ऑफ जे बी एम ए. सो जे बी एम ए में अगर आप देखोगे तो दिस इज़ वेरी यू गॉट अ वेरी गुड इनसाइड बार कैंडल्स हो, यहाँ पे आप देख रहे हो. एंड इफ़ यू गो सी अगेन, राइट, लेट्स से आपने यहाँ पे बाई किया द हाई ऑफ दिस कैंडल, क्या होगा यहाँ पे? अ लॉट ऑफ स्लिपेजेस यू विल फेस ऑन दिस डे. सी लेट्स से आपने यहाँ पे ऑर्डर प्लेस कर रखा था, ये जो दिन आप देख रहे हो 31 मार्च का, दिस विल ट्रिगर यू इन एंड क्लोज बैक इन. आप डे क्लोजिंग पे लॉस में कितना हो? 1.56%. काफ़ी लोग के तो स्टॉप लॉस यहीं हिट हो जाते हैं. एंड देन दे सी द वेरी नेक्स्ट डे स्टॉक इज गोइंग अप 10%, एंड दैट इज़ अ बिग प्रॉब्लम. दैट इज़ अ बिग प्रॉब्लम, राइट? बट जस्ट थिंक अबाउट समवन हु वाज बाइंग इन द आइडियल जोन. हियर he saw stop loss of 2%, 2.5%. By the time stock went here, he was up already 2.88%, and that is a big help to your account. तो क्या होगा कि अगर आपकी पोजीशन साइज 50 lakhs की भी यहाँ पर आपने बना ली, एंड इफ इट इज़ 1% अप, यू आर वेरी हैप्पी. बट अगर 50 लाख पे आप -5% होंगे तो थिंग्स कैन गेट अ लिटिल डिफिकल्ट टू मैनेज फॉर यू, फॉर एनी बडी आई वुड से. So this is how you have to understand and make use of this learning that I've given. आप कोई भी चार्ट उठा लीजिए, देख लीजिए वीकली सिस्टम, खुद से देख लीजिए, you will see this happening, right? So now हमने आइडियल जोन एक्सप्लेन कर दिया है. नाउ वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्ट ऑफ सेलिंग. उसके बाद हम ट्रेलिंग देखेंगे, एंड देन वी विल टेक सम मोर चार्ट्स. So now we'll be talking about selling, because selling is something that converts your on-screen profit to real money in your account. Now see, I know a lot of you people have been sold this idea of selling into strength. It works, it is good, but not always. There are setups where selling into strength is important, and there are setups where selling into strength is your weakness. So see, in this setup, selling into strength is not the right way to trade, right? Because this is a setup which is coming on a weekly time frame, right? And that means your trade can go up for a couple of months or even 4 months, 5 months, or 6 months. Who knows, right? And if you try to sell into strength, you will probably make 10-15%, and then you will see after you selling, stock goes up 60-70% just like that. And you will question what happened, because you have been sold the idea of sell into strength very wrong, not in the right context, and that is important. So here I will talk about it. Let's say you have a weekly setup. Okay, imagine it. You have a weekly setup of an inside bar, and you identified the ideal zone on the chart. That is where you will enter. You took the entry, but then you see that 15% from this point there is a resistance coming up. What do you do? Well, the thing is, there is two things that can happen. Either the stock breaks out of that and just goes on continuously up, or it goes above it, comes back in, and drops down. I'll share the examples in a while. As a trader, what you can do when you are buying in your ideal buy zone, buy a good quantity and plan a part of the quantity to be sold at the resistance level. And then what you can do is you can see if further down the line the stock consolidates over there and gives you another weekly setup in that place. That is where the profits that you logged by selling in the position and the initial position that you had, put all that money again back in. And then the move will come. That will be a very fast and very fierce move. Watch any chart. This is a very common phenomenon that you can trade upon. So as you see through my explanation, that this system doesn't require you to be selling into strength, but rather requires a lot of management of the trade. And I'll explain through live examples of how that is done. One more thing, when we are talking about selling, well, yes, we are booking profits. That is one place where you sell your stock. The another place is when your stop loss get hits. That is where you sell your holdings. Please understand, I get a lot of people who trade with a 1 or 2% stop loss approach, constantly 1.2 or 1-2% stop loss. That is again a wrong approach given to you, sold to you in a very wrong context. 1-2%, I mean, there will be situations where you will have a stop loss, where you will have a stop loss of 0.5%, or there will not be any stop loss. There will be situations. But you have to understand, there are situations which require you to have a 1% stop loss. There are situations which also require you to have 5% stop loss. There is also one misconception here. People think that somebody who's trading with a 1-2% stop loss is a better trader, or he has something more than you, or he has a better understanding. That is simply not right. Even I take positions with a 10% stop loss. I make huge amount of money. I make more than the people who follow this approach, and you can do the same, right? So get this thing out of your head that 1-2% stop loss is where the uh, if you can get 1-2% stop loss, that is the place to be. No, you have to understand these kind of things, and that doesn't do good to your account, because your accuracy is going to be 25% or somewhere around that. And you as a retail trader is going to be difficult. There are a lot of things that go behind it to be able to make as a trader, right? So don't do this. So now I think we have talked about selling. Now we will talk about trailing, and then we will move only on to the charts, and we will discuss buying, idle zone, selling, and trailing all together. So see, when you want to trail your positions, trend is your friend when you are trailing your positions. But the thing is, the problem here is riding the trend is easier said than done. And why is that? Because in the hindsight, you can say that you could have held the stock for a long period of time, right? In the hindsight, only it is possible that your stock is going to go up and up. But when you are in the stock, when you have your money in the account, in the given stock, it becomes very difficult for you, to trust, especially when the price starts to come down. So here trend is your friend, and the moving averages are one of the most useful indicators in this place. And if you will observe, as we will in just a few minutes, the best moving stocks really close below their 50-day moving average. That is something you will observe. And always remember, it takes some time for a stock to go 80%. Stocks don't go 80%, 100% just like that. So it will take a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months for a stock to go 80%. So if you spot a very good stock, now what is a good stock? Well, that is where technical analysis comes in. That is where your knowledge of technical analysis comes in. So when you see, according to your judgment, that a stock is good, never lose patience with it. Yes, it will move 16% in a week and then 5 weeks it will do nothing. But if you are an investor, if you are playing for some time, long time, then you have to keep patience. And that is the best method of trading. So here I've described you the method of trading 50-day moving average and have patience. So now that we have discussed this, these are the chart examples and we will be looking at these. And these are something which I've traded personally, told to the community. Now we will look at the chart and we will discuss all the aspects together now. And after that, I'll give you the bonus scan. So now let's discuss some charts. Ajmera is the first stock. I gave this to the community here. And as you know, we don't buy above the line of this if we have a big account. And this is the move that he played. Couple of good moves it gave, but then see what happened to the stock. And this was a stock which I traded on my daily system. I did not trade it on the weekly, and I'll explain why. If you see the kind of chart the stock is having, there are a lot of sellers here. This is all the zone of your sellers here. So there is no point holding it unless I get some good consolidations in this area. The weekly becomes not so great idea. And also I think there is earnings release for the stock. I never want to carry a stock into his earning because a lot of gap downs happen. A lot of gap ups also happen, but then you are also playing the risk of a gap down. So see, this was the value zone here, right? This was the zone here. Now, somebody who bought here had a stop loss of 6-5%, but somebody who was buying in the idle zone would probably buy here, and he got a stop loss of 2.5%, potential rewards of 20%. And you wouldn't want to carry this. As I said, there is a lot of resistance the stock has to clear as of now. So whenever you see these kind of weekly setups which have a lot of resistance coming up, please understand, make notes, a lot of resistances are there. It's better that whenever the move comes in the week, you get out. And whenever it sets up again, you get in. It's as simple as that. And that is why the Ajmera was traded the way it was. Another stock was GPT Infra. This was exclusively for the weekly setup, and I'll explain how. So this was the resistance that we had coming up here. So see what happened here. This is where we got 2WIB, right? DWIB here. And this is the zone that you marked. And this is the entire area where you can buy. Okay. This is where you buy. See the kind of move the stock gave you. Absolutely brilliant, 15%. And from where did it retrace? Right from where the sellers were there. So just imagine somebody who bought here, let's say, at one point of time, he was in profits of 21%, but he decided not to book. He will be from 21% drop to 12%, and that is big. And again, then he will drop to 5%. So this is something that you need to understand. It needs a lot of patience. True, because seeing 21% to dropping 5% is a big impact, especially when you have a big position. So now if GPT Infra decides to consolidate here, give us some correction here, then that would be a brilliant opportunity. But yeah, this was one trade that we did, and we don't trail it because this is how the stock is designed. Another was Lokesh Machines. This is where I identified the stock. It was, I think, a lot of inside bars were there. I'll remove the drawings, and this is the level that I marked. Then I saw where the resistance is, and I could see that we are actually going into the all-time highs. So this is interesting, right? And see the kind of move that came. Now in a single week, the stock moved 40%. Now 40% move in a single week, where we are talking about 80% in a couple of months, this stock decided to do a 40% in a single week. Would it be good to hold it or trail it? Absolutely not. You have to book a major part of your positions here and then wait. Because see what happened here. Previously 41% move, and after that the stock made high on this. The next time it made the high, same high again, was 6th March. So from 29th August 2022 to 6th of March 2023, the price was never seen. Somebody who thought I will trail the stock just because it's moved 40% in a week, would had to incur a loss at some point of time because see, price entirely came below this candle's low, right? So please understand these are the things that you need to understand, without which it is a little difficult to move forward. And this was your buying area here, not above this line, not above here. This was your buying area. This was the ideal zone to buy. See the kind of move the stock gave. I think in some time it might set up, some months. So we will see when that happens. But yeah, this was a great trade that was there. Now we'll talk about Bamel, and the learning is absolutely brilliant here. I'll tell you why. So this was the stock I was watching, and see, I marked the resistance. This was the resistance here that was marked. I'll mark it again. And there were inside bars here, one inside bar here, second inside bar here. This is where I built the positions. Now see here. Here the options were two, that the stock breaks out above the all-time high and keeps going up, or it retraces back. This is what I explained. And see, if you see what happened to the stock, exactly the same thing. True. So it is important to book a major part of your positions here and then trail the rest of the position. Because if you don't do that, you will incur a lot of loss on your original position, or the original profits which were yours will not even a single rupee will be yours. And probably it might hit your stop loss, give you a loss, or make you exit at the cost. So this is important. Profit booking at times is important. But once you have booked the good part of your profits, then you can trail and manage as in, let's say अगर बेमल ने यहाँ पे it gave a solid buy candle here, let's say, and after that it gave us a good entry zone, good ideal zone, then we would have entered again and made money, but not with the capital that we entered here. No, if you hold the capital entirely of this area going into resistance, then you are gambling your chances, and that's not how you are going to hit high accuracy or make money from the markets consistently. I'll take one more example of the stock is KPI Green. Excellent stock. If you see here, there was no resistance, there's not a lot of data. So basically, this was the level that I was watching, and we broke out above that level, rather above that zone. And see, here we got inside bars, two WIBs, DWIBs, here again, DWIB. And the value zone was here, the entry zone. The ideal zone to buy here was this. And after that, see the kind of move that happened. Why? Because there is no resistance you are going into. So basically now the stock is looking to create resistance of all-time highs. See the kind of move that the stock gave. So let's say you have two setups where there is a lot of resistance coming up, and there is one stock which has no resistance coming up. Now you know which one you have to select. Then the biggest trade, SDBL, I think it is 117% up from me. This is where I bought. Now see here again. When I saw the stock, this is the chart that I was watching, and the resistance was here, exactly at this zone. And when I saw the stock here, I saw there is only one resistance here. And if it breaks above that, it's going to be a huge move. So I added my positions here. This is the ideal zone that we added to. And if you see what happened after that, we went up nicely. This is where you have to book a part of your position. And then if it sets up again, you enter again, and see, this was the ideal zone again, giving you the opportunity to enter. And once we broke above this zone, see the one-sided move. And the beauty is that it never ever touched its 50-day moving average. So the trailing part is also easy. Profit booking was there, adding up to again was there. And if you see the percent move, the first position is almost given 110%, and this is where second position is 80%. And that is huge returns for anybody. And the time taken, see, from April 3rd to 3rd of July. That is, I think, pretty super performance. Same goes for another stock, JBMA. See, this is the zone, and when I was watching the stock, there was only one resistance which I have marked here. And this is where I got my DWIB or WIBs. So we know what is going to happen. And this was the ideal zone. Now see, there is not a lot of distance between the resistance and the ideal zone. So that means you don't have to book a lot of positions here. And see the kind of fierce move the stock gained. Again, this stock also never ever touched 50-day moving average. So these are the trade examples which I did. I shared with the community. So now
And
let's
I
talk about the bonus scan. See what the name is. Three narrow day tight closing along with weekly inside bar. Okay. So here what we are looking for, as you see, everything remains the same. The base remains the same. It might look complicated to you. But what we are looking for is we are looking for a weekly inside bar. True. In that, we are looking for narrow days closing. That means your ideal buy zone. So what I've done here is I've picked up the idea of inside bar from my video, and when I explained the ideal zone, I picked up that idea, I made a scanner out of it, and this is what you have. Now the thing is, let's say there is some fantastic inside bar, but that doesn't have a three narrow day tight closing. Rather, it has a two narrow day tight closing. What will happen? You will miss out on that. So this is a drawback of these kind of scams. The more you try to perfect it, the less number of opportunities you're going to have, and the more opportunity cost you will have, right? You will miss out on a lot of opportunities. But there is also a good thing that the stocks this scanner will give you will have a higher probability of working out, so your workload reduces by a lot. So this can, I mean, if you want to use, you can use. Why I'm giving you this is to just give you a push to think a little and be creative and to build a base for you. That's all. Otherwise, there is only one scan which you have to use, that is WIB, because it covers everything. If WIB is there, it might have three narrow day closing, it might not have, right? You can use your judgment for that. So WIB has everything. If you want to narrow down more, you can use these templates and these kind of scans. And I hope this video added a lot of value to your understanding of the weekly setup. The scans are in the description. Please use them. And PDF is also available for you to download. It is in the description. So please download that and make sure to make the notes and leave a feedback below of how the video has helped you in your trading journey whenever you come back, and how you felt after watching this. Thank you so much for watching the video.